Let's go back into this processing table and let me summarize that very important basic tenet of FilePro programming that I've been drumming into you over and over, probably too much. I apologize, but it's important. You have to keep control. You have to know where the processing pointer is, which processing pointer is running and where it is. It could be the input processing pointer, which starts when they press escape, starts at the top of the table and tests if lines and does every then line. Here it hands control back to the user and it waits, the processing pointer is really here at the end of the command waiting for them to enter something, and then it drops to the next if line and starts testing. The processing pointer picks up and keeps going and testing every if line. The same thing happens, it hits an end and it's done. The same thing happens with the when leaving trigger processing. If they leave a field, like field 19, it sees if the field is blank and so forth. Here the screen hands control back to the user, and in this case, that's enough to end this trigger processing. So we know there's nothing else that's going to be done. I know where my processing pointer is. It's nowhere. There's nothing more to be done. There's no more trigger processing to happen. If I haven't yet pressed escape, the next time I press escape, processing is going to happen here at the very top, just like it always does, input processing. Let's add a field and see how we can, if we don't really keep track of where the pointer is, how easy it is to mess things up. Let's look at these fields. Okay, we see that field 9 is the phone field. Let's say that we're in a situation where we're doing customer service or something, and we absolutely have to make sure that 9 is filled. So if 9 is equal to null, we're going to do that trick where right before the end of the table and the processing, we're going to make sure this field is filled. If it isn't, we're going to put them back on the screen 9. And the way I showed you to do this before, very, very important, is to do this. When you're done, go to top so that it will allow you to run all the table code again and make sure things are right before you're done. Let's say that for whatever reason, for purposes of this example, we forget this code. We forget to put that little go to. So as soon as they're done, after we put them back on screen 9 and they press escape again, the processing pointer is right here waiting for them. They press escape. The next thing it's going to do is this. Now watch why that's really, really bad. Okay, B. Here we go. I'm in the record, and I'm in a record here that doesn't have a phone number. Okay, it's a whole new record list. Here's another one that doesn't have a phone number. So I update. Now I move around the screen. The reason why I didn't, I'm going to tab over to the phone number field, or I'll tab, and there we go. I'm on the phone number. The reason why I didn't do this with an when leaving field trigger, when leaving field 9, is perhaps like I said, we're a customer service company in this case, and we're asking the person their name and address, and they're already, giving us their address. We don't want to be, typing in things and get to the phone number, and we somehow moved our cursor to the phone number field. They're telling us their city. If I'm in when leaving a field, I can't possibly get over to it because I have to fill the phone number first for it to let me. You remember, if we hit enter or any key when when leaving field type version of this, it won't let you. It's going to keep sending you back to this field until it's filled. So I did it the old way. I did it that not so good, not so flexible way. When they press escape, it's going to check. I press escape, it's going to say, does everything look hunky-dory? And I'm going to say, yes, everything's fine, store this record. It immediately put me back in the phone field because the processor is smart enough to know that I forgot it. Well, let's say I'm not quite watching what's going on, and I say, well, that's dumb. Why did it do that? Oh, darn, I meant to press escape and save this record. I did that, and I saved the record. Now I'm back at enter selection, processing is over, and somehow I haven't filled this very important must-fill phone field. And the reason why that happened is because I've forgotten to put the processing pointer where I want it. The processing pointer is waiting right here on that screen. Cursor went on that screen in field 9, and instead of when they pressed escape next, the input processing picks up from right where that pointer is. It doesn't start from the top of the table again. You'll hear everyone throughout the FilePro community saying, when you press escape, the processing starts at the top of the table, the input processing. It doesn't. The processing pointer starts where you left it. We left it on screen 9. There's nothing like this saying, go to top, so that they can't ever leave this field blank. If they leave it blank, it's always going to hit it and always do this. We forgot that. So since we did forget that, we're standing right here at the end of this command, waiting to do the next command. And when they press escape to start the table processing again, it's going to check this next if line. Not true. It is true. There's nothing to do, so it's going to end. We've allowed them to make a bad mistake and leave this field blank. So again, keep control of where your processing pointer is or your trigger processing pointer, either one. Now realize this is another complication, and possibly the main reason why you have to keep control of which process is actually physically running and where your pointer is that this is input processing, and we are here, and we somehow left field 9 blank. We put them back on screen 9. On the screen in field 9. Now, while they're on that screen, they move around a little, and their cursor goes into, say, field 20. And they leave field 20. Well, what's going to happen? All of a sudden, this processing is going to take over. And it's going to start right here and say, is 20 equal to null? Well, maybe it is filled. If it's filled, then this processing will just end. If field 20 is blank, also, we will then, at that point, have to do this command, putting them back on the screen again. It begins to get complicated if you don't track where you are. Two at least processings can be happening. You can be running input processing, which we are, where we've already pressed escape once, and we're down here, and we put them back on the screen, and we're sort of waiting here for it to do something. And waiting for them to fill up the screen and press escape and start our pointer again. In other words, start our processing. We're in input processing, but while they're on this screen, they leave a field that has some trigger processing attached to it. And then that processing will happen. So the input processing pointer isn't going to move, but this processing pointer is going to test this if line. That's a comment. Then it's going to test this if line. If that's not, if that's true, it's going to do this. If not, it's going to drop through to this if line, and so forth. We're running trigger processing while we're in the midst of running this input processing and already down to this far in the table in it. We may have, 500, 1,000, 5,000 lines of code in our input processing table. And we may be at line 397 sitting waiting somewhere, and we put them on a screen. Now all the when leaving field, when entering fields on that screen start running and working. If you're trying to debug a program and you come back thinking you're here when you're really inside some trigger programming 500 lines further down the program, you have to know which processing is running, either the input processing or some trigger processing, which one's running and where the pointer is, where the next executing instruction is going to be. Very, very important.